This morning, I read an article about how our understanding of what is normal in our ecosystems is constantly changing. It examined how wildlife species slowly decline and disappear without our even noticing. As an example, it talked about fireflies, those sparkly little bugs that so many of us would marvel at and capture in our cupped hands in our youth. And in the past few years, habitat loss and human infrastructure causing light pollution has meant that these majestic little creatures are flickering into extinction. And yet, our youngest generations don't know that this is happening because they have no connection to the firefly, no memories of watching them dance on summer evenings. Ultimately, this essay that I was reading centered on the importance of telling stories and sharing knowledge across generations so that we preserve a record of how things are, how things have been, so that we notice subtle and significant changes over time. Now, reading all of this, my mind was just fixed on this beautiful tree behind me. This is a coast live oak. In California, they're a protected species. They're threatened and at risk of sharp decline in the years ahead. And it's quite rare to be the caretaker of a live oak like this one. And it was actually this tree that helped me convince my wife to move into a tiny little cabin in a canyon community. This tree holds our home with its roots, in its trunk and its branches. Its shade protects us from the heat waves we experience here. Its branches shelter birds and squirrels that offer a chirping soundtrack that animates our home with life. I feel this deep spiritual connection to this tree. And beyond its practical gifts, it holds wisdom, and it teaches me about generosity and resilience, adaptation, and patience. Reading that essay on fireflies and stories we tell over time, I thought about this tree because 2 years ago, we almost lost it. One evening I was watering our gardens and just taking in the beauty of a fall evening. I saw these two distinct spots on the tree's sloping branches. And they were wet. And it was, as it turns out, an infestation of boars, a pest that can actually decimate entire forests. If I hadn't seen those little wounds, if I hadn't cared enough to look, the whole landscape and ecosystem of our community would have been changed forever. Luckily, we were able to have an arborist come and treat the tree very swiftly, and it's recovered tremendously. And I'm not sharing this story to say that I saved this tree. I'm just struck today by how important it is for us to keep our eyes open to this sacred world, to notice the way life all around us is constantly shifting and moving and inviting us to see, to care, to love, and to learn. Maybe you have a beloved teacher tree, or maybe you're just curious about how to nourish mindful attention to the natural world, the wisdom of trees and wild spaces. A great way to explore all that further is to join the Center's Spiritual Wisdom of Trees class, guided by our director, Beth Norcross, and beloved colleague, Leah Rampey. Check out our website for more information and keep your eyes open to the wonder and the wisdom all around.